Welcome back, everybody. Today we'll be discussing the Jordan 4 Photon Dust. Specifically, we'll be discussing whether you should sell or hold the Jordan 4 Photon Dust and why that is. To preface this, if you guys enjoy these types of videos regarding the market, reselling, and even info on how to acquire these limited products, be sure to subscribe and enable post notifications. This way you're always 100% updated. Furthermore, for more urgent updates like the recent shock drops we've seen, follow my Twitter, KeithAdam10, and also Personals for You. And of course, for early information, before these drops actually occur, Endurance always has your back. For those who don't know, the Jordan 4 Photon Dust releases on February 11th, tomorrow. Retail will be $210 for men's sizes and $150 for grade school sizes, although we'll be focusing on the men's sizes today. Stock on these is above average for Jordan 4, even with grade school sizes, at 220,000 pairs, so more stock than what we just saw on the Jordan 4 Seafoam, which was also above average. In order to determine if the Jordan 4 Photon Dust will be a fruitful hold, we will cover an estimated range of what the sneaker will settle at after the drop, and also when shipments come in, essentially the pairs going into circulation, whether they're expected to increase post-drop or even hypothetically decrease, along with how much specifically over specific periods of time, and finally, what type of margin are we looking at for these in terms of holding. Not the retail to resell initial margin, but rather the hold margin over X period of time. Basically, are they going to be worth your time even if they do end up going up in value? Kicking it off, let's discuss the estimated range that these should be settling at. To begin with, again, stock for these is above average for Jordan 4, so this will negatively impact the value, but not by a notable amount. Demand is looking impressive thus far, but it does appear to be just slightly lower than the Jordan 4 Seafoam. If you compare the pre-drop sale volume, which I recorded even earlier for those Seafoams, so early it was before the drop in value from Flex app reservations, with the sale volume for these Photons, despite the pre-sale being about the same at the time, you'll see these Photons do have slightly lower sale volume. The bids are also in a similar position. Of course, it's still very impressive demand, but just for reference, it appears to just be under the Seafoam pre-drop demand by a very, very slight amount. Retail is $210, so that extra $10 of course will hurt the margin a bit. With that said, I am still expecting all sizes 10 and above to be profitable with a decent to good margin, bigger sizes being better, and for smaller sizes to have lunch money potential with a poor to subpar margin. If you have tax, I would say just to focus on the large sizes, and if you have no tax, maybe you can make a couple dollars with the poor margin off even the worst sizes. So I'd expect a slightly lower performance and value than the Seafoams, plus they're also $10 more expensive. Nonetheless, this is still a great drop to look forward to, whether you have tax or no tax. Now, regarding a specific range, prices have already seen the vast majority of their pre-drop decrease since it is now the night before. This leaves the current average at about $302 for sizes 8 to 12. We normally see a notable change post-US drop. This is when we normally experience what I like to refer to as the impulsivity effect. You guys should know what I'm referring to by now, as we discuss this very frequently, yet it almost always occurs to some degree. Regarding the impulsivity effect, if you haven't watched my seller hold videos before, sneaker drops specifically impact human impulsiveness significantly after an individual fails to acquire that desired product due to insufficient supply and too much demand. Therefore, on average, we normally see about a 5 to 10% increase of the pre-drop prices post-drop. When it came to the Seafoams, we predicted the pre-drop average after Flex app reservations to be $288, and post-drop they would increase by 5 to 10%. The conservative estimate would be $302, and the upper end being $317, and they actually settled towards the upper end of 10%. When it comes to these Photons, on the other hand, given that it appears they have slightly more stock and slightly less demand, I'd say the current pre-sale value of $302 appears to be pretty justified as is. Hence, I'm not expecting a noticeable negative or positive impulsivity effect. Consequently, today, we get to do a very intense calculation, as you can see. Remember though, this value is just temporary. So now, let's discuss what prices will look like once the shipments go out in the 1 to 2 week range. During this period, the vast majority of pairs will be going into circulation. As usual for general releases, I'd expect the typical 10% decrease, nothing unusual here. This would then hypothetically leave prices at about $272. So Larger sizes should still hover in the upper 200s, and medium sizes close to the mid 200s. So this looks like a pretty promising opportunity if they play out as expected. This was the conservative estimate for the Seafoams, in fact, and those of which will likely end up settling after shipments well above this, considering they increased by 10% rather than 5% post-drop, the more aggressive estimate we had. When it comes to these photons, though, there's a good chance they might end up settling close to that 272 average. But now, with the average price ranges at those points in time evident, let's discuss whether they're expected to increase from the post-shipment prices or even hypothetically decrease. A lot of Jordan 4s with high demand have gone up in the last year, essentially contrary to what we have been seeing on the average Jordan 1. In the last video, I mentioned the military black 4s and infrared 4s as interesting examples. For one, the military blacks increasing was impressive since their initial value was already so high. And the infrared 4s illustrated that even a pair with lower demand could also see notable increase in a short amount of time. Hence, I am expecting these also to begin increasing after their post-shipment trough, a good change from the other recent seller hold videos we have covered, aside from the Seafoams, of course. Finally, regarding the hold margin on these, essentially, are they actually going to be worth your time even when they do eventually increase? Similar to the Jordan 4 Seafoam, it would be difficult for these to achieve an above average ROI considering their initial post-drop value is already quite high. This appears to be a common reoccurring theme when it comes to Jordan 4s. For example, like I explained with the Seafoams, if these were to hypothetically hit $375 in a year or so, that would only be a 25% ROI, which isn't bad, but it's not great. It's not far above average. Hence, I would still rate these a 5 out of 10 hold, just like the Seafoams, and better than our other two recent below average pairs, which were the two Jordan 1s. Had they not been so high in value initially, they could have been great holds for sure, of course, but you must always keep that ROI in mind. It is so important. You can already get quite a high amount for these if you were to sell them right after the drop. Personally, I'll be holding some large sizes, and I definitely need to keep a personal pair too, just like the Seafoams. Also, just a note in general, for anyone considering holding any items who does have low capital, you should never hold anything in general if you don't have sufficient capital to go for as many drops as possible at your full potential without holding back. If you need money to go for all drops, try to sell these as soon as possible. Let me know what you guys are doing with your pairs down in the comments below. Since this is just a discussion at the end of the day, I can't predict the future. That's just my personal analysis based on the data that I've acknowledged. We have a lot of brilliant minds watching the video right now, so I implore you to leave your notions down in the comments below. But anyway, that will conclude it for today. Feel free to leave a like if you enjoyed, or perhaps if you learned a thing or two. Subscribe and enable post notifications. This way you stay 100% updated on all hyped releases. Also, feel free to check out the other links in the description below for reliable, fast, residential proxies from Kit Proxies. You can also now join eDeals with the link in the description below for only $14.99 per month. Furthermore, feel free to follow Endurance's Twitter for updates on restocks or key giveaways, and the same goes for Gargantua if you want to keep up with the progress or restocks. Last but not least, make sure to follow KeithAdam10 and Personals for You on Twitter so you guys stay updated on all urgent info like I was going over today. With that though, I'll see you guys later. Have a fantastic rest of your day, and of course, good luck on this release, or congratulations if you already copped.